Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about the official trailer that came out for Kraven the Hunter. If you haven't seen it already, I'll include a link to it in the description down below. Kraven's a character that I'm not that well versed with. He's a character I've seen him pop up. What that character represents, I always like that in the Spider-Man story of, like, you know, the Predator versus Prey type of storyline. And so my first introduction in was like the animated series in the 90s, and obviously in general we're going a little bit different with Kraven's backstory, where it seems like, well, first and foremost, he's more animal friendly in this, that obviously the people he's hunting is the ultimate prey, or you know, animal to hunt, man, and stuff like that. So, but it's not like he's actively going out of his way doing it. It seems like he's trying to stop anyone associated with his dad. My understanding is, just from what I've heard about the movie, it's supposed to be about him going after poachers and stuff. Like I said, he's more animal friendly. He doesn't hunt animals at all. Obviously a very different depiction of like the Sergey, aka Kraven, that we've come to know. It's interesting to know, like, it seems like a lot of his psychosis or just his circumstances kind of stems from his dad. It seems like his dad's kind of like the main bad guy of the movie, maybe. But it's like, yeah, maybe, which always makes me go back to that She-Hulk joke of like, yeah, like everyone in the Marvel universe having like daddy issues. And I think, to be fair, like dad or mom issues end up being like the centerfold of a lot of psychosis for a lot of character arcs and storylines. Even him, how he got his powers, like like he got a lion's blood in it. I don't know if it was a lion that was injected with something, but the moment its blood entered his body, that's when his powers came about. Like, I could have sworn his powers were like, I don't know if they're typically mystical or not. They might be science fictional based, kind of like Spider-Man's. I don't know, because I'm trying to think. I would assume so, just because like the way they're handling the Rhino. I mean, I think his powers are typically associated with like in a more science fictional front. So obviously we see him in this, but they're making him like a legit Rhino. Because usually it's like modification, like there's something that enhances him, but it's usually like he's stuck in a suit. Ends up being Rhino's case. But they're just like full blown making him like a mutated Rhino. Based on a tiny bit we get at the end of the trailer, but I remember from like the 90s cartoon, Kraven would like drink this serum. I don't think it was 100% associated with his abilities, or at the very least it enhanced his abilities. It added kind of like almost like a steroid enhancer, I guess. Maybe, I don't remember. Like, that's why I can't remember if his powers are more on the mystical side or they've always been more on the science fictional side. I'm sure it probably varies from, like, you know, what run of the comics you're reading and stuff like that. I'd actually let it slip my mind that this movie's R-rated, so when it started getting extra bloody, I was like, all right, this is, I mean, plus I watched the Red Band trailer. I don't know if there's like a regular trailer out. The first one I came across was the Red Band trailer, but it's like, yeah, that's extra bloody and just gnarly to the point it's biting off someone's nose. It's like, that's interesting, and just kind of showcases how how nitty and like to the nitty gritty he's willing to get in fights and stuff like that. Because it's not like, oh, I'm here to incapacitate you. Like, when I'm not a hero. I am going to straight up murder you. So it's also interesting too, like how his movements are, because I know his powers are kind of like he kind of takes on like not necessarily takes on the property, but I think it is like because he's used to hunting animals, he does like is able to kind of fight like one, but it feels like he legitimately takes on animalistic properties in this, especially like you see moments where he's kind of running on all fours like an animal. I guess maybe the justification is like, because they're saying like he has like a connection with animals, which I don't think is typically associated with Kraven. That might be something they're just making for the movie, or maybe there's some version of Kraven's character that he is able to kind of link with animals. I don't know if that's like almost like a Vixen thing. Vixen from DC, where like, oh, she calls upon like the power of animals with her totem. I don't think it's anything like that. It's just like, I think he has a connection where he can use them to track you. Maybe it's almost like also in the DC front, like a Aquaman, how he could communicate with like marine life. Like, what if he can do that with like all animals? And it's just like, oh, this eagle in the sky, I can connect with it, I can see through its eyes, or can I just do that but also like connect with it but also use it to attack you and kind of like send out like, I don't fully know how that works. I'm sure they'll explain it a lot more in the movie, but I'm curious if that other character that he's interacting with a little bit throughout the trailer, I wonder if that's supposed to be his wife. I don't remember her. I remember that character, if it is who I think it is, because of obviously like Sergey / Kraven's story in the animated Spider-Man series, like I said, from the 90s. I do appreciate the whole thing of him being in the forest and surrounded by all those spiders, and I'm like, well, I don't know if that's necessarily set up, but it feels like that might play into something Spider-Man related. Who knows if they'll really even touch on it in the movie or not. But, and by that I mean whether or not it's going to be a thing of his issues. Maybe he has like a fear of spiders or something like that, or just that scene that maybe that is going to translate over into why he may cross paths with Spider-Man in the future and them butting heads. I mean, I think you could still make it him kind of almost on this Punisher thing of like, hey, I'm trying to kill people, but Spider-Man's stopping you from killing people because, yeah, they might be doing terrible things, but they don't deserve to die. So I could see that if there was ever a locking of horns between Spider-Man and Kraven, and this particular version of Kraven, I could see it not being like, oh, I'm hunting you. Not unless they set up a thing of like which happens sometimes where it's like, hey, let's pit someone against Spider-Man by framing Spider-Man for something. So not less that it like Kraven thinks, oh, Spider-Man's like a poacher, he's a terrible person or something, and Kraven goes out there and like that. I mean, that's, once again, this is just going to be a solo movie. There might be winks and nods to a Spider-Man, but I doubt there actually will be a Spider-Man in this. So that's a whole thing. So I'm talking about something that's probably like so far off and may or may not ever happen. So. What's also interesting too is what they've set up for Kraven in this movie. It seems like he's had these powers for a long time. Like he was a teenager when he got his powers, so I'd assume like as his adult version, he's like in his late 20s, if not early to mid 30s. So he's had them for a while, and maybe they've just developed more and more over the years. But you know, obviously, like he hasn't been around his father. Maybe like he spent all this time away from. I mean, his father legitimately left him for death after like the lion bit him. It's like, well, he's weak like his mom, so screw him. So I wonder, has he just been in hiding ever since he survived that lion's attack, or what? Like, what's the explanation between that time frame of like, yeah, your dad leaving you for death and you reappearing and meeting each other at with you older? So I wonder, had they not seen each other at all in that time frame, or was there some time after the lion attack they had until he just left and disappeared forever? Stuff like that. I'm really curious to kind of figure out what that ends up being. I do think it's interesting too, the lines in the trailer of like, not lines, but the text in the trailer, villains aren't born, they're made. It's like, right, I wasn't born this way, but I became this way. Becomes a villain. I don't know if they're even really going to push. I mean, because of the whole animal wanting to protect animals angle that's kind of known about the movie, it seems like they're pushing him as an anti-hero, or are they just going to be like, no, I'm just kind of basically a mercenary, where it's like I kind of follow, but like instead of being paid, I'm following my own creed and my own code. Like I said, on some very Punisher stuff. So I'm just kind of doing my own thing, but it's kind of wild to see like the brutality in this movie, because you just you just don't expect it. I also based a question on that front: is there going to be a correlation, a connection between this, Morbius, and Venom? You'd assume so, because they're setting up their Spider-Man without Spider-Man universe, that whole thing. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how the story unfolds and kind of get a better understanding at least of this version of Kraven and who he is, and understand his full motivations and what he's trying to seek, what he wants. So these are just some of my thoughts. I'd love to get to know yours in the comments down below. What did you think of the trailer? Are you excited for the movie? Are you not excited? What are some things you expect to see in the movie? What are some things you want to see in the movie? Just let me know. Really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.